Let me address this before I even start the show. A lot of people are going to scream that I'm stealing my shtick by sitting down at a table and doing this show. I would love to do this show as I normally do, standing up, moving around, all that stuff, but right now my knee is so messed up that I can barely walk, let alone stand. So you guys just have to deal with me sitting at a table for a couple of shows here. Hopefully this is just temporary. I hope. I got so many drugs running through my system that I make Scarface look like a straight edge, but anyway. But I was saying this a couple weeks ago that I was going through the old bin of stuff, and I found one of these back there. I actually found a whole bunch of these things, and I've been giving them to some people who I know appreciate it. But this is a 40-round ammo box. I'm going to tilt it so you can see the letters right there. And this one specifically was made by, well, it says WGP on the side. Now, who made this, I can't tell you, because everybody just called them WGP ammo boxes. But I know that they were rebranded. Several people had their logo right here, so I honestly don't know who invented this thing or who claims to have invented it. But when you understand how it came to be, you can kind of see why it was sort of universally adapted. Now, back at the time, when these things came out, a lot of people were using oil cans for hoppers because people wanted to carry more paint on the field with them. They wanted to shoot more paint nonstop. And I mean, literally, guys would be carrying 40 10-round tubes on them and bandoliers. So they're trying to figure out, well, how do you get this paint into the gun? And their answer was oil cans. Well, that was kind of big and bulky and didn't really work very well. Just imagine taking a quart oil can and sticking it on top of your gun. So what they invented was one of these things. Now, this one, you can kind of see, it kind of has a throwback to the oil can right here at the tip. It's kind of got that same size on there. It's a two-piece construction, normal, just plastic, basically. But the one thing that's really cool about this, at least was sort of revolutionary, were these two times right on top right here. Let's see if I can get my finger in there and show you. There we go. Now, the idea of this was it would hold the paint in there, so you could just dump the tube in and then take the tube out, and these fingers would stay right there and hold the paintballs in place. But you can kind of see one of the main problems of this. It's wide open, so if it's raining or if there's any moisture, humidity, it's right in there. Now, a lot of people would do is they would modify the heck out of these things. One of the most mods that people would do, and I did this myself, you get yourself a scope cover. I think it was a 1-inch scope cover, I think. But you get, it's like a little pop-lid scope cover, and it fits right onto that lip right there. And I used some electrical tape to just hold it in place. And it's held for years. It's actually still in my main gun, and that one's still in storage. The other thing that I've seen a lot of people do with this, and this is just amazing, you'd have to have a lot of time on your hands, they would take an X-Acto knife, and they would cut along the edges like this, all along it. So all the outside pieces would basically come out, and you'd be left with a skeleton. So it would just be a wire frame. And then they would take some neoprene, this was. They would take neoprene, and they would hot glue the neoprene on all the sides, and then leave a little flap on the top, and leave this part on the bottom over here so there was something solid for it to sit up against. And what they did effectively is they turned a 40-round ammo box into something that would hold 60 or more rounds, depending on how brave you were, basically. Problem with that, you can imagine, one hit to the hopper, and your entire day was done. And when paint was about $150 for a case, yeah, you can imagine how much that hurt. So, I mean, this is just a really fun piece of history. And you actually can still find these around if you look. You don't even have to look very hard. I mean, I think they're still selling in some of the more basic kits. But a lot of people would just kind of look at this and go, wow, I mean, how could you play with that few rounds? Well, like I said, at $150 a case, you learn to economize. I'll just tell you that.